Hi, how are you? Welcome back to my channel. Do you ever finish a horror book and think, what did I just read? Because same. That just so happens to be my favorite subgenre of horror. Today I'm talking about some of the most unhinged, absurd, and completely bonkers horror books that I've ever picked up. Which is saying something because I read a lot of weird stuff. These stories are weird, wild, and will leave you wondering what the hell just happened. So if you like your horror with a side of chaos, this one's for you. So let's get into it. I think I have 8 books here. I could have kept going, but I didn't want to make this too long, so possibly there'll be a part 2 at some point. First one I want to talk about is The Peanut Butter and Jelly Zombie by Timothy Lawver. This one was sent to me by the author, I don't know, like last year, I believe, and it follows Curly. Curly is a recently turned zombie, and he had a hard enough time as a human because he's a bit awkward. He's different. He's an outcast. He has a hard time fitting in, and apparently when you're turned into a zombie, your personality follows you. You can't get away from it. So he's an awkward zombie too, and to make matters worse, he's also a vegetarian. So he's struggling, and he's kind of learning some lessons the hard way on being a zombie. So you're following along on his journey, and you're getting his point of view, which is interesting, and you know, just a different perspective. And I loved that. I loved having his point of view. Now, he's very snarky, he's sarcastic, he's very witty, and you're in his head the whole time, so that's interesting. And even though he can't talk, he's unable to communicate his snarky comments to everybody else, the other characters, doesn't mean you can't get those thoughts. And it is hilarious. It's absurd. And the idea of having a vegetarian zombie was hilarious because he would get the urge to bite people. He would get aggravated and really have the urge to bite, but he wouldn't because he's a vegetarian. Absolutely bonkers. And how he was turned into a zombie, I won't say because you'll have to read it to find out, but even that was crazy. I thought this was very unique. It was a very unique take on the zombie trope, and I thought it was brilliant. I thought the concept was brilliant. It wasn't perfectly written. There were some issues there, but I still really enjoyed it. I had a great time with it, and I definitely think you should give it a try. I loved it. It was bonkers. Next is The ADHD Vampire by Matthew Vaughn. There are a couple things happening here. Let me tell you, this was not only was this completely chaotic and all over the place, it was also absolutely raunchy and gory, violent. Because it was raunchy because it takes place on the USS Exciter, which is a ship for geriatric sex addicts. Which, wow, what a wild concept. Yeah, so you have elderly sex addicts on this ship, and just gonna warn you, there are some really crazy sex scenes, and there are orgies happening all over the place. The ADHD vampire comes into play because there is a vampire who has snuck himself on board in a crate, and he is actually a descendant of Dracula, and his name is Horace Dracula, actually. He's hilarious because he has ADHD, and I can still relate to that because he will be ready to like take a little nibble out of a victim. Like he'll be ready to like, you know, get some blood out of this victim. But then movement will catch his attention over here. So he'll drop this victim, go over here to get this one, be ready to take a little nibble of this one, but then something else will catch his attention over here. He is all over the place. So very relatable because I get it. I get the distractions. That is hilarious. I loved him as a character. He was so fun. But then you have all these different wild sex scenes playing out everywhere. They are so graphic, so gross and disturbing, because it's just, oh, it's so disturbing, so gross. But yeah, very raunchy. And then on top of that, there is a cyborg who is an ex-spy on board the ship. Her name is Martha. Couldn't remember her name. Martha. She's an ex-spy. She really just wants to enjoy her vacation. She's retired. She doesn't really want to get involved. She knows something is going on the ship, but she's trying to ignore it. She just doesn't want to get involved. So there are all these different things playing out. And a lot happens. This is less than 100 pages, but so much happens in this book. It is so wild and chaotic, and just, it doesn't take itself too seriously. You just gotta let it play out and just have fun with it. You can't take it too seriously. But yeah, this was absolutely bananas. My only complaint was that I really wish we had more of Horace, because he was the star of the show for me. He was just so fun. And I loved him so much. I really wanted more of him and less of the wild sex scenes. But yeah, this was a good time. Next up is Tales from the Gas Station by Jack Townsend. This follows Jack. Jack is the guy who runs the local gas station that's open 24 hours a day. First of all, he's an unreliable narrator. And you know that pretty early on that he's an unreliable narrator. So you don't know what all is really happening. You don't know what's not really happening. So, and that's part of the fun. There are a lot of things to love about Jack. Jack is somebody who doesn't get really worked up about anything. The gas station could be burning down around him, and he would just keep the same even tone. He wouldn't have a clue. Like he would just be like, whatever. This is just what we're doing now. You wouldn't have a clue. It's hysterical. Also, he is very funny. He has this great sense of humor. He says the funniest shit. It's just, his point of view is excellent. Like, that is part of the fun of this book, is getting his point of view. It's just absolutely hysterical. The situations that come up in this are what I would consider comically ridiculous. There are garden gnomes, there are these vicious raccoons, there's a cult, there's a bathroom cowboy. None of those are spoilers, but you would not believe some of the crazy things that happen in this book. There's no way, absolutely no way, you could predict what is coming next at all. It's been a couple years since I've read this, and I could still vividly remember everything that happened in here. That's how good this is. And that's how you know you have a good book, is when you can still remember it that well. It's one of those. I have got to get volume 2, because there are a lot of volumes in this. Like, this is volume 1, and I have got to get volume 2. It slipped my mind. I have so many things that come up that I forget, but I have got to get volume 2. It's just, I've heard they're all really good. It's excellent. But yeah, absolutely bonkers, unhinged in the best way possible. It's so chaotic. It's so good. Oh, also, I forgot to tell you, there are a couple of quotes that stood out to me in this, and I'll read them to you real quick. And I'd put them on my review. First one is, sure, it's scary when the monster jumps out at you, but I think the scariest thing of all is realizing that the monster was in the room with you the whole time. And then the other one was, there was always something strangely comforting in the consistency of this place's disconnectedness. Those are so great. And next up, we have The Secret Sex Lives of Ghosts by Dustin Reade. Check out this cover. This is one of my favorite covers ever. I freaking love it so much. And this completely captures the vibe of this book too, because it is batshit crazy. Yes. So I'm gonna read you the back of this one. It says, Thomas Johansson can see ghosts after a near-death experience and has made a living killing them for a second time. After discovering that being possessed by a ghost causes an intense hallucinogenic effect, he goes into business with a perverted dead man named Jerry, selling possession as a street drug, street name Ghost. But is the farmhouse he sees while possessed really a hallucination, or is it something else? Yeah. And there's a quote on this one as well, and I'd put it in my review. I didn't flag it in here, so I'm gonna read it from my review. Dead people are everywhere. Seriously, we are never alone. They are always there, reading over our shoulders, touching themselves while looking down our shirts on the bus, rummaging through our shit. Yeah, so this is less than 100 pages. It's about 95 pages. It does not take itself too seriously, obviously. And it's another one too that I found myself wanting to read aloud to whoever was around because it is hysterical. Absolutely crazy. It's short, but a lot of things happen within these short pages. A lot. It's so crazy. And it captured my attention from, page 1. It immediately grabbed my attention and I couldn't look away. I read it in one sitting. It was kooky, it was imaginative, much like Tales from the Gas Station, it was comically ridiculous, but in a much different way. So yeah, if you're looking for something fast-paced, fun, and a bit wacky, this is it, because it was definitely wacky. And I won't say anything else because this is short and I would be giving things away if I said too much. And if you want something weird, give it a try. And I believe you've heard me talk about, actually I know you've heard me talk about this one, and that is Lube Me Up with Fry Grease by Phrique. And I'm sure you can tell by the cover exactly what you're getting into with this one. This is just, a greasy good time. And this is a splatterpunk horror parody. And I didn't know that combination existed out in the world, and I didn't know I needed it. But this is one, I need more of this. I need more of this combination because it was excellent. It was over the top. It was outrageously ridiculous. This was one of those, I kept thinking it couldn't get any more bizarre, but then I would turn the page and realize that, yes, it could. It was a freaking blast. It was so fun. I'm gonna read you the back. I think it's okay for me to read the back. Yeah, that's another one, can I say this on YouTube? Yeah, I'm pretty sure I can read the back. Journey into a horrible land of make-believe where familiar drive-through characters, female orgasms, and other fictional, totally non-existent things are on the menu. Where extra crispy is king, but what is the colonel hiding in his southern plantation walls besides his herbs and spices? Two star-crossed lovers won't let crumbs like shackles, mercenaries, nor sexy chickens get in their special sauce. Will they ever smell freedom again before being overcome by the vapors? Yeah, this was great. I think my favorite part of this was how the author uses random, fast food themed words in place of dirty words. I think that was the best part. Even the smell had her easy bake oven on preheat. This isn't even the best one. There are some really, really great ones in here. Phrique's sense of humor is unmatched. This is my second book by this author, and I'm telling you, he has a way with words. He has a way with I'm telling you, his sense of humor is unmatched. This is the best way I could put it. It's excellent. I've given both of the books 5 stars so far. I have another one coming today, actually, and it also sounds over the top and wild. I love it. Love it so much. But I will warn you, be prepared for some really disturbing and hilarious imagery involving some of your favorite fast food icons. You will never look at them the same ever again. I'm just gonna tell you. And check trigger warnings, obviously, because it is splatterpunk. If you enjoy extreme horror, if you want something a little different, maybe pick this up. It is out there. It is something it went places I never would have imagined. I thought I knew what I was in for. I did not. But yeah, in the best way possible. This was excellent. It was so good. So good. And like I said, get a look at this cover. It's so good. Next up, we have Hot Pink Satanism by Damien Casey and Kyra R. Torres. This is neon aesthetics and cult energy and pure chaos. So this is Satan has retired from running hell, so now Baphomet has taken over. It's not the hell you're used to. Now there are rainbows and confetti, there's chocolate pudding, and yeah, things have changed. And this book is like absolute chaos, but in the best way. There's even like a death metal hamster, this cute little guy here. This is Baphomet. There's even a little crush. Calvin has this crush on Satan, which is adorable. There's a fashion show that happens in hell. Oh, there are all these pop references. Meghan Trainor references really made me laugh. This was just absolute chaos. Oh, and the unicorns are trying to take over. Yeah, but there's a lot of violence. I don't know how something so cute and cuddly can be so violent, but they are violent. There are like unicorn confetti guts. But yeah, this was all over the place, but in the best way. It was absolute chaos, carnage. Like it was crazy, but it was really good. It was outrageous and total madness, and yeah, it was great. I loved it. It was unhinged, and I freaking loved it. But yeah, hot pink Satanism. If you like things a little bit messy and a little unhinged and all over the place, I think you should give this a try. It was definitely not your typical. Next up, we have The Brain Drips Yellow by Moor. This is going to be so hard for me to explain, but I'm going to give it a whirl. This was a little obscure, a little different, kind of abstract. The character, I'm not gonna lie, in the beginning I had a hard time getting into it because the characters were definitely not likable, but it's not about the characters. This is just so fever dream-like. It's like following somebody's stream of consciousness is the best way I can explain it. It's a little over 300 pages, so worth it. And I'm gonna read you the back. Deep within the confines of his sheltered delusion, Bill Butler is a loving father and husband and a successful corporate executive, but his reality is far different. Bill is estranged from his wife, detached from his daughter, and is a constant target of ridicule at his job, and he is on a straight path to mental breakdown. Along his journey, he is introduced to a sadistic dwarf, a magician turned priest, and a suave demonic entity. But did he evoke this entity, or is it another manifestation of a deteriorating mind? The demon leads Bill into a surreal world that he refers to as the scent world, a world where he is free to purge himself of his fears and satiate his deepest desires. But as Bill spirals into madness, the lines between reality and fantasy begin to blur. I can't explain how much I love this book, but I did, and I'm dying for somebody else to read it so that we can talk about it. There's so much I can't say in this video that I really want to because I don't want to give anything away if you haven't read it. But there were so many hidden meanings here, so many things that you could pick up on if you really dove into it, so many little rabbit trails you could get into. But there was so much imagery. There was so many like little rabbit trails you can get into with this book if you really wanted to. So many. I like to think of it like little hidden doors. You know, like you would just have to read it to know what I'm talking about. But yeah, I found so many like little hidden little details that you could go down. And I loved it. You could see like I have little tabs in here, but I can't explain how much I love this book. It was very imaginative and it was thought-provoking, powerful, and there were definitely some messages in here, some big messages in here if you really want to dive into it. I was fully immersed into this world. I was drawn into it. Like, not from the very beginning, like I said, because the characters weren't likable, but when I figured out where it was going and figured out when I really got into it, I was really into it. And I found all those like I said, little hidden meanings and messages and all that imagery, and figured out like, oh, I see where we're going. I see what's happening here. But I could write a whole book on this book. I could have a whole video on this one and just really dive into it. And like I said, dying for somebody else to read it. Like I really want somebody else to read it. If anybody wants to buddy read this, I would love that. Love it. I would read it again. But yeah, there were all these like metaphors and like I said, hidden meanings in there and messages, and I ate that up. I love books like that have all that. Like it was just so rich with it. You know what I mean? Like I it. It took me a hot minute to process. This is one I had to put down and had to really think about it and be like, exactly what this video is about, is like, what the hell did I just read? Now, that was one of those that I couldn't read anything else for a minute. Normally, I put a book down, I immediately pick up another one. I could not do that this one. I had to sit down, I had to think about it and process it. And it made me think, it really did. It was very thought-provoking and I loved it. And final one is Every Time We Meet at the Dairy Queen, Your Whole Fucking Face Explodes by Carlton Mellick III. This one is about Jill, aka Spiderweb. And, you know, she's a little different. She's an odd girl. She's always got her head in the clouds. She doesn't really pay much attention, so much so that she doesn't even notice when spiders are crawling on her. You know, she wears green lip gloss. She's got these green little clips in her hair. But even though she's a little different, this guy, Ethan, falls in love with her. He thinks she's cute and he falls for her. And there's only one little problem. When she gets a little excited, her face explodes. But Ethan's willing to overlook that. He likes her so much that he's okay with her face exploding condition. And actually on their first date at Dairy Queen, her face explodes and one of her eyeballs lands in his strawberry sundae. So yeah, things are pretty wild. That's not even the weirdest thing that happens. All that gore and messiness isn't even the craziest thing that happens in this book. Like, things escalate and they get weirder and weirder, and this book gets pretty wild. But I didn't know I would like it so much. I did not have high expectations for this. I really didn't. I bought it for the title and the cover, and I did not know it was going to be adorable. Is it weird to call this adorable? Probably, but I thought this was adorable. It was cute. It was a love story, and one of the cutest love stories ever, I think. But I actually really enjoyed this. I give it 5 stars. Ethan is a sweetheart. He's so open-minded, and he's just the perfect match for Spiderweb. This just ended up being a bizarre, gooey, disgusting good time. I was pleasantly surprised. If you like quirky, weird horror, you may really enjoy this one. I would definitely recommend it. Out of curiosity, which one of these books would you be brave enough to pick up and give a try? Or better yet, what is the most unhinged horror book you've ever read? Curious to know? Let me know down in the comments. And there may just be a part 2. Until next time, keep it weird, keep it haunted, and maybe don't read these on public transit. I will see you next Friday for my June TBR. Bye for now.